Ready to hit the pause button on your parenting fails? Ready to feel better about your parenting? Welcome to Parenting Pause, the podcast, where all of you is welcome. I'm Leslie Potter, the founder of the Pure Joy Way, a mother, a parent coach, and a fellow traveler on this journey to wake up in our parenting. And I believe together we can make this a better world for ourselves and our kiddos. Let's talk about time this week. I mean, don't you always feel like you're going to be late when you have children? I know, at least for me, I'm like a time freak, right? So I have this idea that one step leads to the next step to the next, and I go in this linear phrase of time, like when I need to be somewhere, I start marking out my steps of how I'm going to get to be where I'm going to be on time. So this drove me crazy with my daughter because it was very clear from a very young age that she wasn't living in the linear time with me. She had her own sense of time and space, and hers was based more in the present moment. She didn't have a past. And so she didn't have a future, or she wasn't looking that way. So for her, when I would like try to push her or say, hurry up, or we got to be on time, or I would try to teach her about time, she would look at me like I came from a foreign land, right? I imagine your young ones do too. And the funny thing was, that even my teenager, by the time she became a teenager, I thought that I had instilled in her my notion of time and that she needed to hurry. And I found that the teenagers had their own sense of time. They weren't worried about this lateness thing that I carried. So I want you to know that trying to force your children into linear time often does not work. I mean, it often builds and creates, especially inside of you, this threat from them. Like it feels like they're trying to make you late, or they don't understand time. I mean, you're like, we have an appointment and we have to be on time, and well, we have to go to school and we have to be on time, and well, what time is it? I mean, just think about all the moments in the day when we're so focused on this time thing, and we're very anxious about it, and it's very intense. Like we start to get really, really tight. And I found that the tighter I got, and you might find this too with your children, and the more I talked about time, especially with my teenager, the more frustrated I got because she wasn't on my timing. Like she didn't get that memo, about time, that it went from A to B to C to D, and other people were waiting for you and you needed to show up. And instead of like stopping my judgment of that, right, and beginning to get curious about what it was like to live in the land of no time, I became quite adamant and strong on trying to force her into time. And I can be quite forceful, and I imagine each of you can too. I would use my power over, or my intensity, or my, consequence and punishment. I did a lot of things early on. I dropped those pretty soon. But it was like I felt that I had to teach her about this thing called time. And what I began to discover over time is that I was the one that was stressed and she wasn't. Now, this was fascinating. I mean, I was like, well, I kept saying that I wanted to relax. I didn't want to live a stressful life. I wanted to, be more easy. But here I was under this master of time and being on time. So you may feel this too, and I'm talking about this today because during this time right now when we are not so motivated to get places, or we don't have to be on time so much, things begin to shift. And I want you to see if you notice this. I mean, just like, what's it like to go through a whole day, without needing to be somewhere? without having to look at the clock, without, having this schedule like we have to eat now, we have to brush our teeth now, we have to get to school. Like, I really want you to explore this. This is an opportunity to see what begins to happen. Do you begin to relax more, and do things still happen? This is the biggest one you want to look at, because my fear is that things weren't going to happen if I wasn't the driver of them, and if I wasn't the one who, kept my daughter on a schedule and kept her on time. And it's not true. Now, it felt really true. That's why I got so stressed about it. And it may feel true for you, and you may believe it's true. But right now is the greatest opportunity just to find out. Find out. Spend your day tomorrow, if you can tomorrow, or one day this week, and just notice what happens when you don't have that pressure externally of feeling like you have to be on time all the time. I love how time keeps coming up. So try it out, see what happens, let me know. I'm just curious on how it is for you to step out of the belief of linear time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page, or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.